Clarence House. 55 minutes. No aides, no cameras, no spin. Their reconciliation now lives or dies by a single rule: keep the conversation private. If that rule breaks, so does the truce. Stay with me, because in the next moments I'll show you why silence is the only currency that buys them a future and the small signs to watch that will prove whether this piece is real. The scene was almost defiantly ordinary: a quick arrival, a closed door, tea for two. But nothing about this was casual. Prince Harry's return to London wasn't just a diary note, it was a stress test for a family that's learned the hard way that words can be weapons. Years of interviews, docuseries, and a memoir turned private moments into public battlegrounds. Then, suddenly, a pivot, a brief visit, a quiet sit-down, and an exit line so restrained it rang like a bell: "He is great, thank you." That's not filler. That's discipline. That's the one rule in action. Why hinge everything on silence? Because trust inside a royal household doesn't rebuild with apologies, it rebuilds with restraint. Every leak in recent years taught the same lesson: when the talking starts, the shutters slam. The palace was content for the fact of the meeting to be known. It lowers the temperature and shows the doors not bolted. But from here, the message is crystal: no color, no quotes, no friend of a friend details whispered to friendly outlets. If substance leaks, the bridge collapses before it even opens to traffic. The length of the meeting matters. Under an hour means it wasn't therapy, it was a reset. Long enough to look each other in the eye and agree to the ground rules, short enough to avoid the "you said, I said" vortex that always finds its way into headlines. Think of it like a ceasefire: tight, provisional, enforceable only if both sides play by the same code. That code is privacy. Notice the guest list. There wasn't one. Not William, not advisors, not courtiers who later become sources. That is a deliberate design choice. You stabilize the core relationship before you widen the circle. If the two of them can prove they can meet and let the moment end at the threshold, then you'll start to see the first careful choreography of a broader thaw: overlapping venues, mirrored timetables, those almost accidental moments the cameras barely catch. Real reconciliation never bursts in with fanfare. It sneaks in when nobody has anything dramatic to say. Harry's single sentence after the meeting was a tell. A year ago, we might have heard an adjective or two, a hint of emotional weather. Instead, "He is great, thank you." Polite, flat, impossible to weaponize. That's how you answer the public without reopening the wound. It's also a message to his father: you can speak to me without seeing it on Netflix later. If you're reading between the lines, that's him depositing a first installment into the trust account. There's a paradox to modern fame: over the last 5 years, vulnerability paid. Sharing sold. But that currency is spent. What buys progress now is quiet. The hard move isn't telling your story, it's resisting the opportunity to. If in the coming weeks you see exclusive blow-by-blows of what was said at Clarence House, assume the worst: the rule broke, and with it, the runway to a larger reconciliation. If, instead, you get a frustrating lack of detail, take that as good news. Boredom is the price of peace. Add the king's health into the picture and the urgency becomes obvious. Illness compresses timelines and strips away excuses. It reframes questions from if to when, someday to now. That pressure can force big emotional gestures, but the monarchy's muscle memory is different. Say less, do less, let time do the heavy lifting. The discipline looks old-fashioned from the outside, but it's the only thing that works when every sentence becomes content. How will you know if the rule is holding without prying? Look for 3 quiet signals. First, calendar harmony. Not joint events, but intersections: shared buildings, shared pews, no drama. Second, tone discipline. Short acknowledgements around birthdays or major services, no poetic captions, no pointed omissions. Third, the absence of triangulation. No leaks from staff, no California friends revealing atmospherics, no palace side comments nudging a narrative. When the loudest thing is silence, that's progress. Now the hard part, the orbit. William's absence from this first contact wasn't a snub, it's strategy. You don't introduce the air until the foundation is steady. Meghan's best contribution, right now, is the same rule: no commentary, no context, no proxies. Camilla remaining out of frame helps keep oxygen away from old storylines. The more characters you add, the more chances something slips. Keep the circle small to keep the seal strong. Let's be blunt about consequences. If either side breaks the code, an on-background gripe, a suggestive podcast line, a chapter-ready anecdote, the drawbridge rises. It won't be theatrical, it'll be administrative. Invitations thin out, schedules stop rhyming, the corridor crossings disappear. The family has a playbook for Frost. They prefer not to use it, but they will, and they'll do it quietly. It's worth remembering how we got here. Oprah made noise, the Netflix series made metrics, the memoir moved millions of copies, and every success had a hidden cost measured in ounces of trust. You can't spend the same trust twice. That's why a single, anodyne sentence from Harry matters more than a flowery speech ever would. He bit his tongue. That's growth. If you want to gauge momentum, ignore the headlines and watch the framing. Are photos all distance and diagonals, or are they straight on, neutral, businesslike? Does the palace let a fact slip X attended Y and then move on without commentary? Do American outlets run out of fresh quotes? All of that points one way. The one rule is doing its job. When there's nothing to dissect, reconciliation has room to breathe. There is also a cultural shift at stake. For 5 years, the algorithm rewarded heat. The institution, built for cold, recoiled. A functioning middle ground looks unsatisfying. Fewer viral clips. More polite appearances. More nothing happened. If you find yourself wishing there were more drama, ask whether you want a story or a solution. Real healing is dull. That's not a flaw, that's a feature. Set your expectations accordingly. You won't get a sit-down summit with soft lighting and a shared hug. You might get the same aisle at a state service, or a low-key acknowledgement in a speech, a line so simple you could miss it. You might get an off-camera family moment that never leaks. And if the rule holds, you won't hear about it from anyone who matters. That's how you'll know it mattered. 2 final signals to watch. First, the no comment test. If asked again, does Harry keep the same tight line? If yes, the discipline is intact. Second, the boring photo test. The next time they occupy the same space, do the pictures feel flat, almost anticlimactic? Flat is good. Flat means safe. Safe means trusted. Trusted means the rule held. If there's a path back from years of public rupture, this is it. One house, 55 minutes, and the strength to say almost nothing about it. The first step was taken. The next steps are simple and incredibly hard. Keep the door open. Keep the mouths shut. Let time, not headlines, tell the story. If you're rooting for outcomes over outrage, hit like so more people see this take, drop Truce in the comments so I know you're in for the quiet route, and subscribe because we'll keep reading the signals without demanding the secrets. Sometimes the most powerful thing a family can say is nothing at all, and sometimes the bravest thing we can do is give them the space to say it.